definite fact. And some of the details I think are probably lost to they're lost to the sands of time, for lack of a better phrase. There's just a lot we don't know. I don't know how we could know some of these things, but the claims that people make based upon some circumstantial evidence here and there, uh, they're just it's like, what is the need to overstate any element of the case or any semblance of a case? And it's just like, let's not overstate what any evidence we have gives us. Sometimes we're tentative, sometimes we're provisional, other times we're more confident or more certain. Like, for example, you said going back to the Pews, you said you do believe there is Hebrew. Like, do you believe that's a very certain that there's definitely Hebrew on those Pews?
Definitely no. That's why I say believe. Like, I can't confirm it at all. Like, so I'll say I believe there's possible Hebrew, right? But again, I don't think there's, from what I've seen, I don't see Hebrew phrases or words, but I do see potential Hebrew letters, etc. Right? But again, that even if there is, right, I agree with you in Abu that that's not enough in and of itself to make an identity claim, right? And so, for me, what's more important about the language on the pews is that the fact that the church, to me, is a national treasure for anybody who descends from the slave trade, because there's potential markings that come from East Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, etc. It potentially has fingerprints all over from where all the slaves came from in one spot. And to me, that's just monumental and whatnot. And that needs to be looked at and examined and whatnot. And on top of that, let's say, so for instance, there's one pew where I believe there's potential Ge'ez, Hebrew, and Arabic all on the same pew, right?
In the same line or string of characters, or just on the same pew? Do you believe that there's a mixture of different letter shapes of Ge'ez and Hebrew on the same line of characters?
So like a ha, a sa, and Ge'ez. Well, let me just do it like this. Since we're talking, let me just share my screen. I'm going all out of order what I was planning on doing.
Oh, my bad. Well, hey, man, we can go back wherever.
No, bro, I'm freestyling. I'm not tripping.
I got you, man. Yeah, if you need wherever you want to go with it, it's fine with me.
No. You're good money. So you're familiar with the pew that Abu gave the potential rendering for La ilaha illallah?
Yeah, and I think some of the scholars.
Oh no!
Huh?
Oh no! Hold on, real quick. I do believe we have
finally there.
Oh no! My apologies to Abu's wife. I inspired the former crack addict to light the pipe. My fault. How you doing, Abu? Peace and blessing, brother, man.
Very good, very good. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I couldn't resist the urge to try to jump on. So, but please continue. Or if I could say one thing really quickly about we're talking about the church being a national treasure. One of the things that I find dismaying is that there are a number of people who have sort of revealed that if the pews can't be used in the service of an identity claim, then they don't care, right? Then that's it. Let's drop the subject, which is shocking to me, because I think that even if it was just English, right? Like, hypothetically speaking, let's say it's just English and they're lyrics to a song and there's nothing that can be used to settle an Israelite debate either way. Wouldn't you want to know that, right? Wouldn't that be important? Like, for me, to give a mild example, I recently found in a government document something that my father's father had said. It's like a 2-sentence excerpt recorded in a government document. And for me, it was huge, because it's the grandfather I never met. It's a big deal. Like, I can't imagine how people would treat this as irrelevant just because it can't settle like an internet debate. Like, for me, I feel like people should continue to be interested in it, irrespective of what value it has to some identity debate. You know what I mean? Like, if it's Arabic, that should be huge. If it's, even if it was Spanish or something like that, it should be huge and the discussion should continue. But I've always been surprised that people, will say like, oh, why are you dragging this on? Why are you continuing to explore this? It's a dead topic. Like, really? It's a dead topic? I don't know. Forgive me.
Yeah,
like, I think it should be important irrespective of what. Yeah.
No, 100%. And it's definitely not a dead topic for me because me and my people have been studying this since before we heard anything come out of that camp. We were dealing with this from August of 2019 when my good brother Anonymous Hebrew, aka A Unity, aka F.A.B.C, he went down to the church. He actually went down a second time recently, looking for more stuff or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah.
Hey, wait, is that the guy that writes all those books?
No.
Or is it a different? Because there's a guy named Anonymous Hebrew who writes a lot of books I have in my library. Well, it's not him?
Not that I know of. Not unless Anonymous got something you want to tell me.
Okay. Maybe his name, maybe he goes by Unknown Hebrew. I'm not sure, but okay, go ahead, bro.
Okay. No, that's
he goes by Unknown Hebrew, not Anonymous Hebrew. Okay, my bad. Different guy, I guess.
So real quick, I'm gonna play a clip. So Vocab said he had not seen the Cryptic Quest documentary. So real quick, I'm gonna play a couple of clips from that documentary and then get into this Pew that I have on the screen real quick. So
make sure you say fair use.
Yeah, fair use.
Yeah, 100% fair use. But yeah, let me see which ones I want to play. I'm gonna play the ones right here. Here we go.
That's all.
What did you hear? What was said with Garfield and the documentary?
I actually wanted to address one thing real quick because I was actually.
Yeah, Garfield is here. You hear Abu Garfield?
Yeah, I'm here, my brother. Hey, peace and love, Abu. That's my fam right there, man.
Likewise. Good evening. Good evening to both of you. One thing that Garfield said that I actually wanted to touch on it because I was thinking of making a video on the plausibility of Arabic on a church pew because I saw an interesting comment.
Oh, wrong one, family. Hold up. My fault. Been a while. I think.
Good to see you, though, Boo. How you doing, man?
Very good, sir. Very good. Glad to be here. It's an interesting discussion.
Here we go.
Definitely want to hear what you got to say, bro.
Here we go.
Are you ready? Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm ready. Brother.
All right, come on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Go ahead, bro. You got the floor.
All right. Peace and love, everybody.
I sent you an email. I sent you an email. Check your email.
All right, so this is Dr. Ephraim Isaac. You could look him up just Google him just to know who we're talking about before I show the documentary, right? He's a brother that was born in Ethiopia. He's an Ethiopian American. He went to Harvard University. He's a scholar of ancient Semitic languages and civilization and African/Ethiopian languages and religion. He is the director of the Institute of Semitic Studies at Princeton, New Jersey, and the chair of the board of the Ethiopian Peace and Development Center. Dr. Isaac, listen to what he holds now. He holds a bachelor's in divinity from Harvard Divinity, a PhD in Near Eastern languages. Let me say it again.
That's right up his alley. That's right up his alley.
PhD.
That's his lane.
There you go. All right. So we're not going to go into anything else further about
him. And he an Israelite? He Hebrew?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is, my brother. He can't get around that. So now let me share this documentary right here.
Hold on, Alton. Hold on. Y'all got to hold on.
It's called the Cryptic Quest. All right. Cryptic Quest. If anybody wants to look it up, as you can see, the video the brother sent me is unlisted because he sold the documentary. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, the University of Cincinnati, why would a scholar, a PhD Harvard scholar, fly down to look at the pews if it wasn't something major for them to review? There's been debates for this for years in the African American community. So now,
Mr. Backtastic said, "Say yeah, you ain't lying." Go ahead.
All right, hold on a second here. All right, here we go.
And in shape,
make it big.
Many of them look alike. Ha, sa, ra, ri.
So all these letters are Ethiopian.
Yeah, that is Ethiopian. Okay. This is ha, this is sa.
Yeah.
And this could be na if it was straight like this.
There is now evidence to clearly show that some of the slaves came with skills of writing, which transcends the traditional models of illiteracy, albeit most were illiterate. In fact, most people from Europe and the West were illiterate in that.
All right. So that's the first 45 seconds. Let me click now to another section. All right. So people could see exactly what's going on. All right. So we are at 30. What is this? All right. Here we go. All right. Here we go.
In 1733, my fifth great-grandfather,
Turn it up a little bit.
Jewish immigrant from Frankfurt on Oder, came across to America on a ship with about 40 other Jewish immigrants to Savannah. At the time, Savannah was a bit of a wilderness. The Jewish immigrants who arrived there were actually trying to reach Charleston. In terms of just Savannah in general, those Jewish immigrants settled there, arrived there in 1733. So that's 120 years of Jewish presence with African presence in a place by the Civil War, which had something like 15,000 people as its population.
The Jews who came to North America, while they certainly wanted to retain their religious identity, also certainly in terms of an economic livelihood, I mean, they did want to acculturate to their surroundings.
All right. Hold on 1 second, Barry. Let me just pause it for 5 seconds and let's play some more of this.
You're talking about a close-knit community where all strata of life interacted and overlaid and intertwined.
The diverse community in Savannah provided a unique situation where Black slaves and Jews were living side by side. Could this be a possible explanation for what we see on the side of the pews? Are there actually Hebrew letters mixed in with the Ethiopian letters?
But then that would look like a cursive top. As it is,
That's right.
as it is, it also, I have to see this closer up, but it also looks like a close-up.
Mute your mic, they say, Garfield, whilst they talking. Mute your mic.
Okay. However, nothing else on this panel really looks like a Hebrew letter. When you have something that looks like a Hebrew letter, it's in a context of things that don't look like Hebrew letters. So that the issue is, again, the issue is not the individual sign. It's what the signs add up to.
So far, none of the letters, symbols, or markings seem to form words, which may imply that they had a different purpose entirely.
All right, give me another 5 seconds. Actually, I just text Alvin Elmore. He said he's at a video shoot because I wanted him to come on because he's the guy that actually filmed it. You know.
Yeah, he's more than welcome to come on.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
The use of alphabetic symbols in magic is very well known. It's very ancient. In Ethiopia, for instance, already in the 4th and 5th centuries, they were using decorative letters, not directly in terms of symbolic 3 or 4 words, letters, but in terms of a geometric figure. A lot of the early magic, what we call abracadabra, they are not complete words, but they are letters. There is one prayer that is Akhila Sharakhila Sharakhila Sharakhila. I mean, they use just a few of those words. And sometimes it's maybe just like ha 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 ha, la 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 la, ba 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 ba, ga 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 ga. This is, of course, the way of enticing the demon and defeat them.
All right. Yeah, man. That's it right there, bro.
But that does fall along the lines of what Mr. Dante said he ran through with that Cambridge stuff right there. That might actually explain. Well, let me see what y'all say. That might actually explain some of the confusion. Where's he at? Go ahead. You want to say anything else whilst I'm looking through these comments? You must got Washington must got another email. As soon as I put your name in, it came up from 2 years ago unless you got a new email. I couldn't touch the paste because I don't got a message on your phone. Go ahead, Garfield. You got the floor. What you got to say on the whole thing?
I would just say that what we can do is go with what the scholarship has said. So if Dante has something where someone else has said something, and then look at what everybody who has actually done the work, and then draw your own conclusion. That's how you work with a scholarly from a scholastic point of view. But I do appreciate Dr. Ephraim Isaac being a part of this and giving some context. You know, he's saying there's no words there, but you have people saying like alphabetic letters in a chant like of some sort of magic. But the beauty of it that I got from it, that I'm glad that I knew about this, is that there are Africans that could write in the Americas before writing English.
That's right.
Shows that
Europe was still in a lot of ignorance. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
That's what the scholar said too. So that's another.
I got one last clip, and so this clip comes from, I believe, towards the end of the documentary, where it actually shows the conclusion of what they're talking about in terms of the language that they're finding on the pews, etc. And so this part here is where they actually talk about finding a potential shorthand version of the Tetragrammaton on this particular pew.
The markings on the pews do not form words, but they perform spiritual symbols of invoking spiritual power for the preservation and protection of a downtrodden people that were subjugated under a very oppressive and cruel system of slavery.
There is a sect in Ethiopian culture that practices esoteric knowledge. They are called the Depteras. Some perform exorcisms, while others engage in charms and astrological practices. Depteras are usually chosen from families of other Depteras and are trained from childhood in traditional medicines along with mystical healing.
What we have observed with the Ha-Sa, following very often those two Ethiopic letters, are the two small lines. Those two small lines are symbolic of the abbreviation for the name of the Most High, YHWH.
Of course, yeah. The Tetragrammaton sometimes is shortened as Ya and or Yo. Of course, the letter Yod also in many Jewish interpretations often represented the Ten Commandments also. So Yod has a symbolism of the weight of the law.
Seeing that we have the Ha-Sa symbols on the pews in Savannah, Georgia, followed by this abbreviated symbol for the Tetragrammaton of the name of the Israelite deity YHWH, is in itself remarkable in the sense that this has to be the writing of an ancient heritage that managed to somehow survive chattel slavery and persist with a record of a connection of a scattered people from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia.
Yeah, so that was their conclusion from the documentary.
Well, I'd love to hear what Abu, if he's still, is he still here or is he had to go?
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yeah. So what'd you think, Abu? I'm just now seeing this.
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting. Me personally, I wasn't, it wasn't enough for me to conclude that language appears on the pews. I think nonetheless, it is interesting to see Ephraim Isaac and stuff like that, to at least affirm letters, possibly in the use of magical spells. I think that was interesting for the objections to the Arabic. And this is actually relevant to something, I don't know if you guys see Rudy Heinrich is in the live chat, and he had asked if anyone's brought up the use of like Arabic and magical spells. In the polemic against the Arabic reading of the pew, of one of the pews, it was pointed out that there's like 3 lines that haven't been explained. And, if you were to treat it as Arabic, it looks like 3 alifs in a row. And so the same people who attacked that and said, oh, you get, like Brown said, you got to explain everything, and Kelly endorsed that and Benaya endorsed that, they were happy and excited about what happens in Cryptic Quest, where F.A.B.C says that, maybe it's letters being used in magical spells. The interesting thing is that sort of thing of a series of 3 lines. You can see that in specifically West African magical uses of Arabic letters, like Grigri and stuff like that. And I've shown that before, where you'll have like 3 olives in a row and 4 olives. So there was a sort of inconsistency there. I'm not convinced, but if we go down that road, it's interesting how it buttresses the case for Arabic. I don't know. Forgive me if that's a little meandering there. I could elaborate if needed.
Right, 100%. So one of the things I appreciate about the documentary, and yeah, you might want to get it, Garfield, and see if you can get a copy of the documentary, Vocab, because it's actually really interesting. So there's a lot of cultural context given in terms about the Ethiopian connections to the church and whatnot, in the sense to where Ephraim Isaac talks about Ethiopians being taken in the slave trade. He also talks about Jews being in West Africa and whatnot, but he talks about Ethiopians being taken in the slave trade. And that points, like, a lot of people don't know that there's like 543,000 people that were taken from East Africa and ended up into the slave trade here. So they were pointing towards that. They were pointing towards the original name. You know what? I got my presentation right here. Let me just go to it right quick. Give me a second. So the original name of the church was the Ethiopian Baptist Church of Jesus Christ. And it was when Anonymous went down in 2019, he took some pictures of the windows and let me know that the tour guides were talking about the fact that they had Ethiopic crosses on the windows and whatnot at the bottom you can see it on the bottom right there, the equilateral crosses and whatnot, and that eventually they switched over to more modern crosses, etc. And that also when you go on tour there. And I will say this, shout out to Pastor Kelly and them and whatnot for actually bringing this out to the people. And the documentary they were part of, Reclaiming the Throne, they showed this. When you go on tour, they actually have what some people believe to be like a replica, of the Ark of the Covenant, etc., made out of acacia wood. They literally made it out of acacia wood. So this is something that like we see in East African forms of practice, like amongst the Ethiopian Christians and amongst the Lembites, where they're making wooden replicas of the art concept. And so that all lended credence with the Ha and Sa concept. The West African Arabic, I mean, that's obvious. There's more examples of Arabic amongst the slaves than you can shake a stick at. You know what I'm saying? What was intriguing to me was the possible Hebrew concept and what he was saying in terms about the single letter concept. And hold on real quick. So for me, I actually when Anonymous went down there, Anonymous said he potentially saw a whole bunch of coughs on a few pews and whatnot. And so I was able to get a picture of one of those right quick. And where are we at? Man. And so something I postulated is that this potential pew here might actually represent what Ephraim Isaac was talking about in terms of single letters and repetition and whatnot, right? Potentially being a repetition of coughs, etc. And it might be a potential example of like Judeo-Bantu, for instance, or some form of West African Judeo-Arabic, or it could have even come through the East African aspect of the slave trade. Just like we have some slaves that were taken from like Madagascar, etc., who were said to know Arabic and Hebrew, etc. So I agree with you guys that from what I've seen, I don't see any words or phrases. But in terms of cultural context, I don't rule out the concept of potential letters, etc., whatnot, in repetition on the piece, etc. And on top,
real quick about the what's proposed to possibly be multiple kafs, that Hebrew kafs. This again takes us back to the question of the orientation of the pew, because if you rotate that 90 degrees to the right, it begs the question: why not interpret it as multiple is ha? Like ha 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 ha, like that. You know what I mean? And of course, there's other options as well.
Where's my joint at?
Judeo-Bantu. How would you define that? Judeo-Bantu.
So wherever we see Jews going, they typically blend their language with whatever language they're going to. Like so, Judeo-Arabic, for instance. And so, if there's a Jewish population in West Africa, like so in the documentary, Ephraim Isaac talks about a well-documented population amongst the kingdom of God, etc. Right? let's say like, so if there's a population in West Africa that's of Jewish descent, it stands to reason that they're going to make, even amongst the Lemba, for instance, right? They might make like a Judeo-Bantu kind of a concept, right? So
what's your opinion then of Yiddish?
In the sense of what?
Well, would that be Jews blending their language with German?
Yeah, Judeo-German. I think he was saying.
100%. Yeah, it'd be like German written in the Hebrew script. Yeah.
Well, I'm just you. If people understand the potential implications of a position like that, you might receive some heat.
Well, it's well known. Like, so for instance, like I don't deny that Europeans can be descendants of Abraham and such. One of the things that happened with me, Vocab, is like on my channel, like, I got flagged by Dante for actually re-airing one of my an interview where I went on his channel and explained this, that I believe that the nation of Israel looks like all four corners of the earth and whatnot. Right?
Man, I didn't know that Dante didn't like you this much. I didn't realize that he went after you so hard as well.
Oh, they were loving me for a minute, bro. But
yeah, and Teo lumps you in together with they list you amongst those who are trying to give their heritage away because you think that carrying Ashkenazim may descend from Jacob, possibly, you know.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is when you actually get into this claim about sola trail, right? And Latino being on the pews, etc. Abu, do you have time for me to play the second half of your video where you're talking about carrying?
Yes, please. No, I got some time. Go ahead.
Okay. Because this becomes very important to understand in terms of people making the identity claim, right? So just like Vocab was saying, if there's Arabic on the pews, it doesn't make people Arabs, right? And just like they're saying, if there's Hebrew on the pews, it doesn't make somebody an Israelite, right? Well, if there's Yiddish on the pews, right, or if, let's say like the Hebrew came from someone who was Ashkenazi or whatnot, right? Well, does that make everybody in the congregation Ashkenazi at that juncture? Let us find out.
And why couldn't that Ashkenazi be himself be an Israelite, and so on down? Exactly. It's funny that I remember when what's his name, Benaiah, referred to them, the Sheftals, as Ashkenazi brews, and somebody in the chat was like, "What's an Ashkenazi brew?"
Yeah, but I really want people to pay attention to this part here from
Jewish coffee.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.